In this smartphone show, news of two new S60 handsets plus Nokia Video Manager and upgrades for HTC devices. The main feature though is Nokia's E90 against the HTC Advantage, the battle of the titans, two of the biggest flagship devices there are. Which one can replace a laptop, which one's most juice when out and about? First up, yet more news of Nokia taking S60 3rd edition down into the mass market at €260 only, unlocked, and HSDPA ready with a 2 megapixel camera. This is the 6120. Following closely on its heels is the Samsung SGH i400, another mid-range S60 3rd edition device, this time with a large 2.3-inch screen, again a 2 megapixel camera, no 3G this time, but it does only weigh 92 grams. In an attempt to simplify the conversion of videos for playback on all their S60 smartphones, Nokia has released the free Video Manager. It scans your hard disk for media and then converts it all to the nice compressed H.264 video codec. On the smartphones, of course, these videos play back perfectly in Real Player. Finally, it seems that Windows Mobile 6 is gradually being leaked out onto existing handsets courtesy of HTC's download pages. Do keep an eye on the page for your particular device. Now, there are phones, then there are smartphones, then there's the colossus that is the Nokia E90, and then there's the building-sized HTC Advantage X7500. I wouldn't normally have considered this for the smartphone show. At 360 grams, it's simply too huge in every way to qualify as a phone. But with the arrival of the Nokia E90 with near production firmware, I just couldn't resist pitching the two flagships, one for Nokia and Symbian, and one for HTC and Windows Mobile, head to head. This is the battle of the titans. If nothing else, sit back, admire the spec level and dream. Oh, and be thankful that you haven't got to carry either of these beasts in your pocket. The E90 is the classic Nokia communicator clamshell. Smaller than its 9500 predecessor, but still weighing a hefty metallic 210 grams. There's the usual dual display, and it's very usable as a phone when the clamshell is closed. The Advantage is a 360-gram tablet with a detachable QWERTY keyboard and a touch screen. It's quite superb as a PDA or as an internet tablet, but for voice calls you need to plug in a wired handset or use a Bluetooth hands-free. This is colossal though, even out of its leather pouch. 9 points for the Nokia E90 and 8 for the Advantage. The Nokia E90's internal display is super wide at 800 by 352 pixels, and with most S60 3rd edition applications working well within the larger display area, with tweaks to the core apps to enhance the screen use even more. The display can be angled to suit your preference, even laid completely flat. And with no touchscreen layer, the screen contrast is good, even in bright sunlight. At 640 by 480 pixels, the Advantage's display has a slightly larger area and is gorgeously bright. But Windows Mobile 5's interface remains optimized for 320 by 240 pixels, and everything just seems overlarge. The only real use of VGA is when displaying photos or browsing websites. Sadly, the keyboard display angle is fixed with no adjustment possible, and I found this a bit of a limitation. With the extra touchscreen layer, the screen's very reflective outdoors in sunlight and hard to read. Still, contrast indoors is so good that on balance, I give both devices 8 points. The E90's QWERTY keyboard has smallish keys with quite a hard feel. It's fine for typing with 2 thumbs, but put it on a desk and it isn't a pleasant experience. There's also the option of predictive text input using the cover phone, but that rather foils the point of the clamshell. The Advantage's keyboard attaches magnetically with a huge thunk. Careful not to trap your fingers, my wife did. There's a good key spacing, but the keys have almost no travel. They've got no feel and they aren't backlit when in the dark. Alternative input here is with a stylus, of course, but as with the E90, using anything else other than the QWERTY keyboard foils the whole point of the form factor. Good and bad for both devices, so 6 points each. As you might expect, at this price point there is no shortage of resources. The E90 has 140 megabytes of internal flash memory, micro SD expansion up to 2 gigabytes, and most importantly, a whopping 80 megabytes of free RAM, 4 times that in any other S60 smartphone. The Advantage goes one better though, with the same 140 megabytes of flash memory, miniSD expansion, plus a built-in 8 gigabyte micro drive. That's a miniature hard drive. 9 points to the E90, but an incredible 10 to the HTC Advantage. S60 has long had adequate but ultimately disappointing PIM applications. Despite the widescreen overhaul, the same limitations are here in terms of good syncing to Outlook, but with no category support. The Windows Mobile 5 versions in the Advantage don't actually fare that much better, but at least Outlook category information is synced across. By the way, note that unlike Pocket PCs in the early days, a full copy of Outlook is no longer supplied with each device. Great shame. Anyway, 8 to the E90, but 9 to the Advantage. Both flagships are very similar here, with 3G and HSDPA speeds, built-in POP3 and IMAP4 email support, and push email compatibility, of course. The E90 has S60's now traditional web browser, very capable, but it falls down on sites with Flash content, for example YouTube. Despite the Advantage having both Internet Explorer Mobile and Opera 8.65 in ROM, the same limitations essentially apply. One novelty is the view flow system, whereby a level sensor automatically scrolls web pages according to how you hold or tilt the Advantage. I can't really declare a winner on this though, so 8 points each. Navigation is a seemingly essential part of a business device these days, perhaps getting you to the next meeting on time. Nokia Maps is really the smart-to-go freeware system that they launched a few months ago, with free GPS-aware street maps of anywhere in the world loaded online or via the microSD card. The built-in GPS, i.e. the same one as on the N95, is pretty insensitive and only really works okay providing you give it time to bed in and lock on before moving, which isn't always easy to do in the real world. Voice navigation is a pay-for extra, but thankfully inexpensive. The Advantage's GPS is of professional quality, with an easy lock-on to 8 or 9 satellites in an open sky, but it's let down by software restrictions. TomTom Navigator 6 is supplied on CD, but it's licensed for only one map region of a few hundred square miles. Anything else has to be bought separately. It's not that expensive, but it's certainly a bit of a hassle. On balance then, 7 points each. The E90 sees Nokia abandoning its own Symbian Office software in favour of a licensed copy of QuickOffice. This provides a solid editing base without being 100% perfect at round-trip conversions. Under Windows Mobile 5, Word, Excel and PowerPoint Mobile on the HTC Advantage are at roughly the same level, i.e. editing most documents is possible and practical, but be careful about resaving rich documents and then sending back to the desktop or via email. Another level playing field and 7 points each. Although image and video capture isn't exactly the core raison d'etre of these two devices, it's here in spades if needed. The E90 has a surprisingly good 3.2 megapixel stills camera with proper autofocus and LED flash, plus VGA video recording at over 25 frames a second, along the same lines as the N95 and N93 used to shoot this show. The Advantage isn't far behind, also with a 3 megapixel camera, autofocus and a great LED flash. Allied to the large screen and viewfinder, the camera really is quite good, the best HTC has ever made. Video recording is at the slightly less cutting edge, 352 by 288 pixels by 15 frames a second. The LED can be permanently activated, letting the Advantage double as the world's most expensive torch. The VGA video recording tips the scales for the E90 though, giving it 9 points against the HTC's 8. With the Nokia E90 looking and feeling like a phone, this round's a bit of a no-brainer really, and Nokia's usual quality is evident too. The Advantage can only really be used with a Bluetooth or wired headset, restricting ad hoc use quite a bit. A perfect 10 for the E90, a qualified 6 for the Advantage. Before I reveal the final scores, a word of caution about the magnetic keyboard attachment on the Advantage. It's horrifically strong and comes with plenty of warnings about not letting the device or keyboard within 5 centimeters of anything precious, like your credit cards. Given that this is still a pocketable device, well, this is all rather a worry. The size of the huge touchscreen is another possible problem. When the keyboard's not snapped on the front, the display is very vulnerable for a portable device. In view of these last comments, it's perhaps appropriate that the Nokia E90 comes out on top anyway, pipping the Advantage with a score of 81 to 77. Neither are mainstream devices though, and I hereby pledge to downsize in a major fashion for show 32.